had a week. I didn't go to school for a week straight. I'm in college now. That's not as big of a deal. In high school, to be honest, honestly, college it's a lot worse. It gets a lot harder because they're very strict on their attendance, and you can get dropped. You can just fail classes for not showing up. I didn't show up for a week because I couldn't get out of bed. I tried, and I couldn't get out of bed. It was a rough time. I'll say that. I don't want to call it like a depressive episode or anything, but it was a rough time. But I got up and I did something for myself. I went to therapy. You're not going to hear that a whole lot from a lot of men ever. I went to therapy. They won't ever tell it to you if they do go, but I went to therapy, and that's resilience. That's the strength to tell yourself that you need the guidance of another. You need something, an opinion from someone else, and that's okay. That's resilience. Because you want to keep going. You want to be you, you want to be the best version of you, obviously. You can it's not a bad thing to go to therapy. And I went to therapy, and I reevaluated a lot of things in my life and decisions I had made prior to what had happened. I had reevaluated a lot of decisions I made, just in the month leading up to that, and I had to force myself out of bed. I had to force myself to eat. I had to force myself to find a way to re-enjoy life. Because it's hard. It is very hard. And again, that's why I reiterate resilience is important, because sometimes life sucks. Sometimes life is horrible. And I'm not saying that to be negative, but I am saying it in a very, I understand way. But I do also understand, you got to get up. You got to keep going when you don't want to. And that's what I did. And I started forcing myself to eat a little more. I started forcing myself to go to class. I didn't want to go to class. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not a super big fan of classes. So that's what made it easier for me to not go. When I was like, oh, this thing happened to me. You still got to go. Because if you're working towards something you really want, you got to be resilient. And you got to force yourself to do shit you don't want to do. You got to, you think I wanted to, stop eating a ton? No. I love food. I love food. Okay. But I was unhealthy. I was fat. That's the best way to put it. I was fat. I was 205 pounds. I am a 5'9" man. I was inactive. Didn't do anything. Played a lot of video games. I still play a lot of video games, to be honest. I didn't want to be that anymore. And, you hear that a lot with younger men, people my age. They say, I don't want to be fat anymore. I don't want to be all these things anymore. And it's true. That's my testimony as a lifter, is I didn't want to be fat. I went my whole life thinking I was fat when I was skinny as hell. And then when I finally got fat, I kept telling myself it was okay. But I was disgusted by myself. And I'm not going to say, oh, the thing that happened to me was the catalyst for it. Kind of was a little bit. Gave me a lot more free time, I will say. But it wasn't that. It was realizing I lacked discipline. I lacked resilience. I lost my resilience. I lost myself. I was losing myself. And that's why I felt like shit all the time. That's why I felt like garbage all the time. That's why I was stressed out all the time, is because I let myself get fat. I let myself sit there and lose my discipline. And I tried to rebuild it, and then it all came back. I lost it all in the span of 3 months? Because I wasn't disciplined. Because I wasn't resilient. Because I didn't stick it out to the end like I should have. Now I'm doing it the right way. I'm not sure if you can see from my top half or maybe my shoulders right here, but my shoulders didn't look like this 4 months ago. I was a big boy. I was tubby. I'm sure I can bring up like a picture of what I used to look like or some shit compared to now. I was resilient. And again, like it doesn't have to be that situation, you know? It doesn't have to be, I didn't want to be fat anymore, so I'm going to be resilient. It can be, you know what? I want to be the greatest. I've got a Lego Koenigsegg sitting right next to me. I want to be the greatest Koenigsegg driver in the world. How are you going to do that? Not driving cars? Being scared of cars? You can't be resilient if you don't go drive cars. You'll experience setbacks. That's part of it. That's how it goes. If everything went perfect the first time, I don't think it'd be fun personally. You know how boring of a life that'd be if everything went your way? That's why you gotta stick it out. You gotta find joy in the struggle. You gotta, exemplify yourself in the struggle. You have to find resilience. And it's okay to not feel great all the time, but you gotta stick it out. My room I have right here is because my dad stuck it out. My dad was resilient. He's military. He's moved a fuck ton. That comes back on me eventually, but he was resilient. Everything all the stories I've heard from him, he didn't have this when he was. Well, he might have when he was my age, but when he was younger, he didn't have any of that. So it's resilience is important because you want to be the person people look at and go, he stuck it out till the very end. He fought till the very end. He kept going till the very end. That's what you are. You are resilient. You have to be resilient. And it's okay. It's okay to fail. It's not okay to quit.